as well. When your family loses a loved one, we're here to help. We're Brown Funeral Home in Martinsburg, Inwood, and Charlestown, Ranson. We're here when you need us.
We have the tools, we have the talent. It's Miller time.
It's Miller time on Talk Radio WRNR. A look at local sports with the play-by-play voice of local sports, Matt Miller.
And a very pleasant Thursday evening to all the listeners out there. Matt Crawford here with you in the Talk Radio WRNR studios. Matt Miller still out on his week-long vacation. He will be back to join me on Monday. A jam-packed show tonight. We have some baseball to talk about at the major and minor league levels. And we are going to have a special co-host the second half hour of the show, a name that is going to be familiar to anybody who's listened to the show for any length of time. Russell Goodacre will be joining us to give us an inside look on some Shepherd football news, some Frederick Keys news, and to just talk some baseball with us as he is a diehard Orioles fan. We're going to talk some O's baseball and what can possibly be fixed to salvage this historically bad season in Baltimore. Before we get going, I want to let you know that this segment of the show is brought to you by Brown's Funeral Home and Cremations, Robert Field and Sons, a family-owned full-service funeral home that has proudly served our area since 1880. Start with the major leagues. The Washington Nationals, our Washington Nationals, are back in the win column. A big win last night, salvaging a game in New York. And how about Juan Soto? What a night for the youngster, just 19 years old, and hit 2 home runs in the biggest ballpark to hit a home run in the major leagues. Again, just the poise of this kid is just so strange for his age. It's just so refreshing to see how far he's come. Again, was in Hagerstown at the beginning of the year and is now hitting home runs in Yankee Stadium. There's a 19-year-old, has a .344 batting average in the majors. Just unreal what this kid is doing. The Nats get a 5-4 win last night. Top of the first, Anthony Rendon hit a sacrifice fly. Bottom of the first, Aaron Judge hit a sac fly to make it 1-1. Bottom of the second, Bird homered for the Yankees to make it 2-1. Giancarlo singled to make it 3-1 in the bottom of the third, and you're thinking it's going to be a long night for the Yankees until this happened in the top of the fourth inning.
Here's the pitch. Swinging a high fly ball left field. This is Gardner drifting back on it to the warning track, to the wall. He leaps, and it goes. Are you kidding me? It's a 3-run homer. Soto didn't even think he got that one, and it carries out into the first row of seats down the left field line near the 318 mark. Sonny Gray is staring out there in disbelief. The Nationals have the lead back 4-3 on Juan Soto's 4th home run, his first against a right-hander. That was just a fly ball that carried out of this bandbox into the first row.
That is the thing about Yankee Stadium. The Nationals don't play there often, but if you ever watch, if you're an NL fan and watch any sort of AL games that are in New York, the old Yankee Stadium and the new Yankee Stadium are very hitter-friendly ballparks, and you see a lot of home runs that look like standard pop flies. Then all of a sudden they get up, and whatever wind stream is in the Bronx, they just keep going and going and going, and they'll eventually get out. And from what you just heard, that is exactly what happened on that 3-run home run by Juan Soto. Soto put the Nationals up in the top of the fourth with that home run, 4-3. Torres would tie it for the Yankees with a solo shot in the fourth, or in the bottom of the fourth, I should say. And in the top of the seventh, Juan Soto hit his second home run, and it would be the one that decided this game.
The 1-0. Swinging a high drive to right center field deep. Forget about it. Juan Soto has another home run at Yankee Stadium. That one's out of sight. He clears the Yankees bullpen and gives the Nationals the lead 5-4. Juan Soto with home run number 5 has his first career multi-homer game. He does it here against the Yankees in New York. What a show he is putting on tonight, folks. Juan Soto demolished that ball well over 400 feet and over the Yankees bullpen deep into the night.
I can't imagine he's going to forget that home run. Again, his his first season, just barely a month in, and he hits a 400-foot shot into the bleachers in Yankee Stadium. I'm sure that's one he will never forget. Again, that was all the Nationals would need, as a couple more scoreless innings, and this is what it sounded like as the game came to a close right here on WRNR last night.
Now the kick and the pitch. Swinging a high pop-up right side. First baseman Adams backpedaling. Defoe coming over. Defoe calls him off. Makes a one-handed grab, and a Curly W's in the books. Sean Doolittle gets the save, and the Nationals on the field to celebrate a victory. They split this 2-game series in New York and get back in the win column. A Curly W's in the books. The final score, the Nationals 5 and the Yankees 4.
And that was when the Nationals had gotten shut out the 2 prior games to that, against the Giants and against the Yankees. So they needed a little bit of offense. Still not extremely productive offensively. As you just heard, 4 of the 5 runs the Nationals scored were off the bat of the 19-year-old phenom. I mean, Anthony Rendon added the RBI, sacrifice fly in the first inning. Adam Eaton went 3 for 4, so not a bad game. But Bryce Harper, 0 for 4. He's only batting .228. And again, you expect him to kind of pick it up as the season goes on. He's actually slowed down as the rest of the team has sped up at the plate. So you assume that Bryce Harper's going to pick it back up at some point, but you'd like that to be sooner rather than later. But the Nats get the win last night. They needed that win badly, as the Braves also got a win over the Mets. That was a game that happened yesterday during the day. So the Braves took a 1.5-game lead in the NL East into the Nationals game last night. The Nationals cut it to just a 1-game lead with their victory last night. Again, still early in the season. Still got about a month before the All-Star break. So you're looking at a lot of time for the Nationals to make up ground. It's only a game, but you obviously don't want to give the Braves too much momentum going into that All-Star break, because the Nationals have been more of a second-half team. If you look historically through the last couple of years, they haven't been a playoff team, but they've been a second half of the regular season team, and they've been a playoff team, just not a very productive playoff team, as they have had the former DC curse when it comes to the playoffs. Maybe this year, with the Capitals breaking that DC curse, the Nationals can do something in the playoffs. On to the AL. The O's lose another one. Sounds like a record that has just been broken for the last 3 weeks. The O's losing. They've lost 7 in a row, bringing it to 14 of their last 16. They fall to the Red Sox 5-1. I mean, at some point, and again, I've been saying this for about 2 weeks now. I've been saying a little bit longer than that, but really thinking logistically for the Orioles, how much longer can Buck Showalter stay around? I mean, this is a team that is obviously done for this year. They're 27 games back in a division with the Red Sox and the Yankees. They're not going to go to the postseason. They're not going to. It would surprise me if they finish within 25 games of first place in the AL East. They're already 27 games back, and we're midway through June. I mean, that's bad. That's historically bad. We've talked about how historically bad the Orioles have been. We'll talk about the other teams that have been historically bad this season later on in the show when Russell Goodacre joins us, and we'll talk a little bit more about these Orioles struggles, but they have just been struggling bad, and you're wondering when it's going to stop. The Red Sox are a good team. Not taking anything away from them, but the Orioles are definitely not helping themselves out. Other scores from last night. Pittsburgh beats Arizona. They get a win in Arizona, which they had struggled doing previously, get a 5-4 win in Arizona. And the Rockies come to the city of brotherly love and get a 7-2 win over the Philadelphia Phillies. So the Rockies steal a couple in Philly. But today, the Phillies get a rebound win. A game that ended a little bit earlier, right before we actually got on air. The Phillies get a 9-3 win over the Rockies. Buys tonight are the Pirates, the Nats, and the O's regionally, but the Padres will play the Braves. So if you're a Nats fan, you're rooting for the Padres because you don't want the Braves to be able to take another game up on the Nats with the Nationals not able to rebound tonight. Some news in the MLB, Miguel Cabrera out for the year. Didn't get to mention that yesterday. So the greatest hitter of this generation out for the rest of the year. He tore a ligament in his bicep, so he is going to be done for the remainder of this year. And that's a big bat for the Tigers that they're taking out of their lineup. And with injuries like that, with the age of Miguel Cabrera, you got to wonder if an injury that's going to linger with him for a long, long time to come. But we wish him a speedy recovery this offseason. And again, one of the greatest hitters of this generation. So you hate to see him out of the lineup in any way, shape, or form. So that's your look at baseball from last night and baseball going into tonight, with really the only game that anybody's going to care about tonight in this area being in Atlanta with the Padres. And that's only because it matters so much to the Nats. Again, any Philly fans out there, the Phillies got a 9-3 win earlier, and the Pirates, Nats, and O's are all off tonight. All right, we got to get in our first break of the show. When we come back, we will talk some minor league baseball with the play-by-play voice of the Hagerstown Suns, Sean Myrna. Sean did not join us last week as he had zero voice to talk last week. Couldn't even get the Suns games in, so we will catch up with what's going on in Hagerstown when we come back after this break. You're listening to Miller Time.
Talk Radio WRNR, in partnership with Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies, is proud to announce a new way of celebrating the best things in your life with your life announcements. But we need your help. When good things happen to you, we want to hear about it and let others in on it as well. Send us your birthdays and newborn birth announcements, engagements, weddings, wedding anniversaries. We want to hear about your family, your business, your church, or your organization's best moments and accomplishments. Welcome your new neighbors or pat your favorite teacher or coach on the back. Send us your attaboys and your attagirls. To send us your life announcements, email them to us at promo@talkradiowrnr.com or mail them to Talk Radio WRNR, P.O. Box 709, Martinsburg 25402, or go to www.talkradiowrnr.com for more details. Include as much information as you can, who's extending the wishes, and a way to contact you. We'll broadcast these announcements 3 times per day. It's your life announcements from Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies and Talk Radio WRNR.
Griffin with NFL Network now on the Westwood One Radio Network. The Cowboys and Zach Martin making his 6-year deal official on Wednesday. According to NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport, Martin's new extension is worth a total of $84 million, with $40 million guaranteed and a $20 million signing bonus. Meanwhile, rookie quarterback Sam Darnold has a chance to be the starter in New York. Jets offensive coordinator Jeremy Bates telling reporters Darnold hasn't flinched this offseason in regards to picking up the playbook and says he's in the running to be under center week 1. Elsewhere, the Bengals are unsure when tight end Tyler Eifert will be ready for camp. Rappaport says Eifert has been unable to take the field during this week's minicamp after tweaking his back. He played in just 2 games last season. Terrence West is heading to the South. The Saints signing West to a deal. The former Ravens running back will join Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram in New Orleans. Ingram will start the season on a 4-game suspension. This has been NFL Network now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Results may vary, not a solicitation for legal services. If you owe the IRS back taxes, payroll taxes, or have not filed your returns, the IRS will get you. They can take your property, take you to court, even put you in jail. With one call to WAL, you'll never need to talk to the IRS again. Our average client settles for about 10% of what is owed. We offer free face-to-face consultations in your local area. Call 800-727-0433. That's 800-727-0433.
The national debt is now over $20 trillion. What happens next? Rising inflation drops in the dollar's value. Some experts say another crash is coming. You can fight this, not with stocks or bonds, but with gold and silver coins in an IRA from Augusta Precious Metals. Call 855-858-5807 and learn how an IRA backed by physical gold and silver can hedge against inflation. Call Augusta Precious Metals right now at 855-858-5807 and get a free gold IRA guide. Call 855-858-5807.
We'll talk Hagerstown Suns baseball next on Miller Time.
From the moment you're greeted at the front door, step back in time to a classic speakeasy-style restaurant and bar, Boyd's Steakhouse, featuring only the finest steaks, chops, and seafood. Come see why Boyd's Steakhouse is the friendliest place in town with the best food around. Open for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Boyd's Steakhouse on North Queen Street in the heart of downtown Martinsburg. Boyd's Steakhouse. How about tonight?
The bars are all closed.
It's 4 in the morning.
Welcome back into Miller Time. Matt Crawford here with you. We talk some Major League Baseball going into that break. Now we're going to talk some local minor league baseball, and we're going to we're going to go to Hagerstown, and a few we'll hear from play-by-play guy Sean Mernon. Again, we couldn't hear from Mernon last week. He had completely lost his voice. Talking to him off air a little bit earlier before we recorded this interview, and he had had his intern do back-to-back games for him, and he said that was almost more terrifying than calling the games. So glad he has his voice back. The Suns are in Lakewood tonight trying to salvage a win. The Suns have lost 3 straight to Lakewood and have lost 4 of their last 6. They're 24-40 on the season with just one more series to go until the All-Star break. We'll tell you what that series is after we hear from Mr. Mernon about what's been going on in Hagerstown the last couple of weeks.
Well, the team has had its ups and downs. Right now, they're trying to avoid a sweep tonight against Lakewood. They didn't get last night. Their all-star starter, Nick Riquet, definitely had a rough go of it. He was going up against the guy who's going to start the all-star game for the Northern Division, Will Stewart. But Riquet went 4 innings last night. He gave up 11 hits. He gave up 5 runs. Still had 5 strikeouts, though. But the offense really had a difficult time last night. They're only able to get 4 hits off of Stewart, and he only had 2 strikeouts. So it's one of those things where the ball was there. It was in and around the zone. He threw 61 pitches for strikes out of 94. It's just he's a guy that has a super low ERA. He's got a 1.13 ERA this season, and there's good reason why he's starting that All-Star game for the Northern Division. He's a lefty that is very difficult to hit. He's given everybody fits and tantrums. So it only kind of really sucked the Suns in a kind of a deeper hole. They've gone 22 innings now without being able to score a run against this Lakewood team. They got a run in the first game of the series, and now they're going to come into tonight and see if they can put anything together. They went on a bit of a nice run against Lakewood and Delmarva. If you go all the way back to, I believe it's the 6th of June, where they ended up taking 4 out of 6 in a run there. But the last 3 games haven't really panned out their way. So they're going to try and get back on the right side of it as into the All-Star break here.
You talk about the All-Star break. Who on this Hagerstown roster is heading to that All-Star game?
So we've got our right fielder. I say right fielder, but he's played all the outfield positions. But right field is where he's really been entrenched since Juan Soto got called up. It's Nick Banks. This is his 2nd season in the Sally League. It's the 2nd time being an All-Star. If you pair this All-Star selection with what he did in 2016 in the New York Penn League with Auburn. So that's a nice nod for him. And then the guy who started for us last night, Nick Riquet, he's got an ERA under 3 so far this season. It's 2.79, and that lefty spent lights out. He's got something like 8 quality starts out of his 12 starts. He's been very good, leads the team in strikeouts, in innings pitched, all those things, all the metrics that you're looking for. So they've got 2 representatives, and then our manager, Patrick Anderson, is also going to be on the coaching staff. I believe he managed the team for 3 out of the 4 years that he started here. But this season, he's going to kind of be an assistant as Greensboro manager Todd Pratt is going to be the manager of the team. So in reality, you get 2 players and a coach on the team. And those 2 guys, Banks is going to be a utility outfielder, so he's not going to get the start, but he'll make his way into the lineup at some point during the game. And a couple guys that are definitely deserving of being on that team.
Before we take a look ahead, let's go back to the last series against Delmarva. A new kind of addition to this rivalry. I saw that the Maryland Governor, Larry Hogan, decided to add a little spice to this rivalry. Tell us about that a little bit.
So now these 2 teams for the season series going forward every year are going to be competing for what's known as the Governor's Cup. So Larry Hogan, the governor of Maryland, as well as representatives from both the Suns and the Delmarva Shorebirds were in Salisbury over the weekend on Sunday. The final game of that, so what was supposed to be 4 games turned into 3 games because what else? Weather, right? But everybody was on hand to unveil the Governor's Cup. And so, it's a pretty simple concept. Whoever wins the season series gets the Governor's Cup. So the last game that these 2 teams are going to play this season is actually going to be in July. It's going to be in Hagerstown. So Governor Hogan is going to be in Hagerstown. As of right now, obviously he's a busy guy, so that schedule can change. So it's not confirmed. But as of right now, the plan is for in Hagerstown on July the 25th. And then the season series between these 2 teams is going to wrap up on July the 26th, which is kind of crazy to think that you're going to go basically a month and 2 weeks without seeing the team that I believe Delmarva is actually the closest team in the league to us. But we're gonna get to see Lexington a lot over that span and everything. But yeah, so they're gonna, going forward, they'll be competing for this trophy and this cup, and it adds a little bit of spice to the rivalry that has already, it seems like, I was just talking to Will DeBoer, who's the voice of the Shorebirds, when we were in town out there before we got here to Lakewood. And he just, after the game, he was shaking his head and he just goes, I don't know what it is, but it seems like the Suns always win whenever they come to Delmarva. And obviously the Shorebirds have been pretty good this season. I believe they're in 4th place in the division. At one point, they were running side by side with Kannapolis. So while the Suns are in 7th place here in the first half, they've still been able to get some W's against Delmarva, more importantly, in Delmarva. So it's always been a pretty good rivalry, and that Governor's Cup adds a little bit of spice to it.
What's coming up this week for the Hagerstown Suns?
So the All-Star break starts. It'll be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But after tonight, these guys are going to get on the bus. They're going to head back into Hagerstown. We have 3 against the Columbia Fireflies. So tomorrow night, we have a 7:05 start. And we're going to be giving away a Disney trip out at the ballpark. So One Lucky Family, it's just like that Universal Studios one that we did a couple weeks ago. But One Lucky Family is actually going to win a trip to Walt Disney World. That's presented by AAA at Hagerstown. Then Saturday, a little bit earlier, 6:05 start. That's going to be Star Wars night out at the ballpark. So you can come dressed as, a Wookiee or whatever your favorite character from Star Wars is. And some of those characters from the movie are actually going to be joining us out at the ballpark. And then Sunday is I'm calling it a free-for-all. Because we have our normal Sunday Fun Day promotion where kids club members can play catch on the field before the game. All kids can run the bases after the game. But even before that, it's our Father's Day celebration. So we have different ticket packages starting at $17, and we're going to have a picnic from 1 until 2:30 at the ballpark for fathers and their sons and daughters and everything to come out and enjoy it. So that's going to be all you can eat: hot dogs, hamburgers, sides, drinks. And again, that'll be an hour and a half. So it's an hour before the game. And then, like I said, it's kind of a free-for-all. So the last thing we actually have, and that, by the way, that's limited to the first 250 people that get that particular ticket, that ticket deal. But then it's also Superhero and Comic-Con Day at the ballpark. So the first 500 people through the gates are going to get a designed comic book poster by Marvel artist Rusty Gilligan. So there's just a ton going on at the ballpark on Sunday, but we're packed to the gills from Friday right through Saturday, headed into that All-Star break. And then the following week we have Think Pink Week, so there's going to be our first bobblehead giveaway during that set. So hopefully you and I will talk before then, and we can kind of go over that stuff. But for right now, that's the immediate future. So, and it's supposed to be great weather too, Matt. So the ballpark is we should have a lot of people out at the ballpark this weekend enjoying some baseball.
So get out to Hagerstown if you can. A lot of fun stuff sounds like going on with the Suns. Sean, we appreciate the time and look forward to talking to you next week.
Absolutely, Matt. Thanks so much.
Sean Murnan, the play-by-play voice of the Hagerstown Suns. Again, a lot of stuff going on. I know he tried to fit everything in quickly to let you know what was going on in Hagerstown, but a 3-game series against Columbia coming up starting tomorrow. Again, they're at Lakewood tonight at 7 o'clock, but a 7:05 start tomorrow at home in Hagerstown against Columbia. Saturday, 6:05 first pitch, and then Sunday, a 2:05 first pitch. But it sounds like there's a lot of stuff going on with Father's Day festivities coming up on Sunday. So if you got a chance and you're not doing anything for Father's Day, dads like baseball. Go to a baseball game for Father's Day. Celebrate with a bunch of other dads out there for a fun Sunday afternoon. Yeah, and the All-Star game for the Hagerstown Suns and the Single A affiliates is Tuesday. It's very weird how the All-Star game works and the seasons work when you're at that Single A level. It's like 2 seasons within one, so they're already halfway, a little over halfway through that first season, which will come to an end in some point in the middle to end of July. All right, we got to get in our bottom of the hour news and weather break. When we come back, we will talk a little bit of Shepherd sports, a little bit of national sports. We'll be joined by our second half co-host, a name that if you listen for a while, you will recognize. Russell Goodacre will join us next on Miller Time.
CBS News Update. Text messages between two FBI agents who were romantically involved figure prominently in the Justice Department review of the handling of the Clinton email probe. CBS's Ed O'Keefe has more.
One of the things they highlight from the start are these text messages that were exchanged between agents discussing their hope that Trump wouldn't win and their vow to try to stop him. While it seems to have been limited to just a few people, and they conclude that it did not affect this investigation overall, it's certainly a black eye for the FBI.
The report concludes that while political bias was not an issue, former FBI Director James Comey was insubordinate in his handling of the investigation. CBS's Paula Reed.
In this report, they review his decision to hold a press conference to announce that no charges would be brought against Secretary Clinton. That was unusual because usually you don't hold a press availability to announce that no one will be charged. Usually cases are just silently closed and no charges are ever brought.
CBS News Update, I'm Pam Coulter.
Local forecast. Weatherman Bob Kukin.
Fair weather outside through the evening and the overnight, and the sky's clear and the winds become lighter, and we see less humidity in the air overall. Temperatures are going to drop a fair amount. We will see readings back to about 58 in the morning, clear skies. Sunshine for tomorrow with a high back to 83. Saturday, very warm, sunshine, the high 86. Sunday, near 90. I'm Bob Kukin, Talk Radio WRNR.
Join us at the WVU Medicine Job Fair Wednesday, June 20th from 3 to 7 p.m. at the Holiday Inn on Foxcroft Avenue in Martinsburg. Learn about career opportunities and benefits available at Berkeley Medical Center, Jefferson Medical Center, and University Healthcare Physicians. Recruiters and hiring managers will be on site to conduct interviews for all departments. And please bring your resume with you. For more info, call 304-264-1259. We hope to see you at the WVU Medicine Job Fair Wednesday, June 20th. WVU Medicine is an equal opportunity employer.
Your NBC Sports Radio update starts now.
Not a good day one at the U.S. Open for some of the stars. Defending champ Brooks Koepka, 5 over 75. Phil Mickelson, 7 over 77. Jordan Spieth, 8 over. Jason Day, 9 over. Rory McIlroy, 10 over. Mickelson, Spieth, McIlroy, and Day all declined to speak with the media afterwards. Russia got a win to open up the day and open up the World Cup over Saudi Arabia. 5-0. Sean McDermott, Bills head coach, who have been talking about Josh Allen all week long, says that the rookie will open up training camp as the third team quarterback, and Josh McCown over in New York for the Jets is going to open up as the number 1 quarterback there. Michael Porter Jr. was dealing with hip spasms, needed an MRI. He came back clean, but he did still cancel his workout scheduled for Friday. I'm Keith Irizarry, and this is NBC Sports Radio.
When you have a lot on your to-do list, the last thing you need to worry about is a car repair. Luckily, when you visit any of 16,000 Napa Auto Care centers, you get highly trained experts and a 24-month, 24,000-mile nationwide warranty, which means your car gets fixed right the first time, so you can spend less time worrying about the things you don't want to, like repairing your vehicle, and more time worrying about the things you do. Just visit NapaAutoCare.com to find the location nearest you.
You think back to when your daughter was the tiniest, sweetest, softest, prettiest, most precious little person in your life. She cried and your heart raced. She smiled and you laughed. She said, "Mama," and you cried. Hi, this is Lori from Bechtel Jewelers. I know she spent a lot of time in your arms, by your side, in your lap. The years have flown, and she outgrew your lap, but she never outgrew your heart. Your girl is graduating now, and a gift she will wear and treasure forever is a heart pendant. Each time she looks at it, she'll know she's always in your heart. Wherever she goes, you'll be together. At Bechtel Jewelers, Route 11 South in Inwood, our heart pendants start at just $99 in sterling silver. You'll find them in gold, too. Some have gems, some are sprinkled with diamonds that twinkle like she does. You'll find one that fits her, sort of like the way she used to fit in your lap. At Bechtel Jewelers, Route 11 South in Inwood.
And we welcome you back into the second half hour of today's Miller Time, this Thursday edition of Miller Time. Anybody who's off work yet at 5:30 this afternoon, only one day left until the weekend. Thank God we are almost to the weekend, and it's a summer weekend, which makes it even better. All right, we're bringing in a special co-host. I am Matt Crawford. I've been alone this week. Matt Miller has been on vacation. We've gotten some good guests this week so far, but we're going to bring in a relatively familiar name if you've listened to the show for any long period of time. It's a guy that I go way back with. It's got my radio start with on the Shepherd University campus radio station, and the guy who's been around the block when it comes to sports. So we're going to bring in Russell Goodacre on the WVU Medicine Berkeley Medical Center talk line. Russ, good evening. How's it going?
Good evening. How are you, Matt?
I'm doing well. Good to talk to you, man. It's been a while.
Absolutely. It's been a while.
It's always nice to be on the same airwaves again.
For sure.
All right, Russ, where do you want to start? You want to start with some Orioles baseball, or do you want to start with some college football?
Let's go college football, because the Orioles,
Not worth talking about?
For now, yeah.
Well, we'll talk about them at some point. But, all right, let's start with the news coming out of the NCAA yesterday. 2 new rules the NCAA called them player-friendly rules. This was the press release yesterday. The NCAA enacted 2 player-friendly rule changes Wednesday. One allows football players to participate in 4 games without compromising their redshirt season, and the other one frees up athletes to transfer to whatever school they choose without needing permission from the school they are departing from. So I know which one I think is the bigger deal, but Russ, you've been involved with the locker room at Shepherd. You know what the players like, and you know more about this red shirt situation than I do. So I like the transfer rule. I think that's going to make it a lot more exciting. It's kind of going to make it like free agency in football or in college football, like it is the pro level.
I definitely agree with you. It definitely is good for the players, and it makes it easier for them. So if they want to go somewhere else, if things don't work out at a certain school. So that definitely helps them out, and I like that one too. I also like the first one. I haven't read much into it yet, but I think it's also right that they also changed that one too, about the 4 games.
So looking at the only hesitation, I guess, I have with the transfer is looking locally and looking at Shepherd and looking at the D2 programs all across the Mountain State. I know a lot of those Division II programs get transfers from Division I programs, and I think a lot of that has to do with the immediate playing time. I mean, I look at the biggest example I can remember is Isaiah Ross coming on the year Shepherd went to the national championship. He was a big contribution on that defensive line, and he came from Maryland. And the only reason that he came to Shepherd was because at the last minute, Coach Randy Etzel from Maryland decided he wasn't going to let him go to Marshall. But you look at that, and I think this is going to impact a lot more at the D2 and D3 level than it will at the Division I level.
That is correct. And also going back to that 2015 team, you can also include Angelo Gene Lewis, who transferred from Marshall, who's D1 at the time, to Shepherd also in the same year. So he was a big help too that year. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. It's definitely going to be interesting to watch with how the new rules are set, and with the no restrictions, it could be interesting. And then with the D2 and D3, I mean, they're still going to get their D1 transfers that'll come through. But I think you could see less and less. But we'll see with how time flies.
See, I'm not so sure they're going to get the amount of transfers I'm thinking that you're expecting. I think you're going to get a lot more high-class Division I guys that were high school phenoms and were part of the top 300 on ESPN, but didn't pan out at their power conference Division I schools, and they're going to drop down and just go to smaller Division I schools because it's not going to be any issue of them transferring within Division I. So I think it's going to impact it a little more than you think it will.
It very well could. I mean, like I said, we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's definitely new, so it'll be interesting to watch, to say the least.
All right, let's talk about this red shirt compromise that they had now. And it's now, I'm trying to remember and you'll know this answer directly because you dealt with it a lot more at Shepherd. The red shirt, the flat-out freshman red shirt season, not talking injury-related red shirt, how much did a true freshman that was getting red shirt, how much was he allowed to step on the field and get playing time?
None.
No, okay. That's what I thought, but for some reason I didn't want to say none, and he could have gotten a certain amount of quarters or up to 1 or 2 games or something like that. I thought it was none, and then if it was a medical red shirt, it was completely different. Is that correct?
That is correct. I mean, for a medical red shirt, if you play, I think, 3 or 4 games, then if you get hurt, then you can apply for it, but you got to wait from the NCAA headquarters in Indianapolis to get a ruling on that. So, like, I know Jay Kingston, when he played, had a medical red shirt because he had a sprain. He tore his ACL one year in training camp. He got an extra year out of it. So,
I like this when you get down to the end of the season, and to me, it's kind of like I'm going to relate the college game to the pro game here again. But I think once you get down to the end of the season, and you know you're not going to be eligible for any sort of postseason, any sort of bowl game, to me, this makes it a lot like playing your third string and practice guys at the NFL level when you have nothing else to play for and you want to see what you have. So to me, with 4 games eligible in a redshirt season now for a freshman, that's going to give you the opportunity the last 3 games of the season, the last 2 games of the season, to see what you have in those freshmen and see how they've evolved.
Absolutely. And, it's going to help out, the players and the coaches because, the more film that's on the players in game situations is going to help them out tremendously because, with the physical and mental reps, that's very important. As, that's why I learned from Shepherd, because the more film you get in practice, but also the more film you see in games and see how you can adjust to different situations, it help everyone out.
Yeah, I think it'll also help out with injuries. So you won't have to have guys playing positions that they're not used to strictly based on injuries. And I know that's definitely something that Shepherd will like and Coach Klein will like on that defensive side, especially look at what happened last year, all the injuries on the defensive side of the ball, and all the young kids that had to step up. And I think definitely local-wise, again, it'll help out every college football program everywhere. But just kind of trying to bring this big topic local. I mean, that was one of the big things that stuck out in my head was all the young guys that had to step up and play for Shepherd last year, and a lot of guys that maybe ruined their 5th-year possibility with that redshirt season.
That's absolutely correct.
All right, Russ, we also haven't talked to you since it became official. Again, this has been what Matt Miller has called the worst-kept secret in the Mountain East or in the state of West Virginia and the Panhandle. But Shepherd going up north to the PSAC. You've been involved for the last 3 years with this Shepherd football program, and you've been around some of the best games that they've had in the Mountain East Conference. What was your immediate reaction when you found out that they were officially going to join the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference?
Well, that's a great question. I know for the past few months I was debating it back and forth, but when it seemed like it was going to happen and then it did happen, I was on board with it. It saves a lot of money for traveling. It's really close for, the games instead of going out to, places like Urbana or Wise or Concord or Charleston or State or West Liberty. I mean, it's definitely going to help out, all the players, mentally because, all the trips are short, especially being in the PSAC East. And it's going to be some good football starting in 2019. So it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch regardless. And you look at baseball as well. The Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference has some of the most storied Division II baseball programs. When you look at Seton Hill, when you look at a Millersville, I mean, obviously the Shippensburg rivalry and football rivalries as a whole are going to be the main focus of this. But overall, across the board, Shepherd is joining a conference that doesn't just have 1 or 2 members that are going to compete nationally like the Mountain East does. They're going to have several in each sport.
Yep, absolutely. And, basketball, both men's and women's, very good programs over there, too. I mean, I think it's going to be good, but it's going to take some time. Fans of Shepherd should, I would say relax at first, get to know the programs. Don't be surprised if there's going to be some more tough games consistently instead of waiting until November or December or right off the bat, to say the least, because there's some good programs up there.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely going to be growing pains. I don't think anybody, if you're a realistic Shepherd athletic fan, I don't think you can look at this move and say there's not going to be growing pains, and they are going to have the same success they had in the few years with the Mountain East.
Absolutely. And if they win the East and, win the conference outright, it's definitely going to be well-earned.
You and I had this conversation pretty much every year we were on air down in the Shepherd studio about the level of respect the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference got compared to the Mountain East. So just looking back to football, because again, that's where a lot of this attention is going so far. I think people that are a little bit skeptical about joining a better conference for football are worried about not being undefeated for however many straight years. But I think this move allows Shepherd to drop 2 or 3 games a year and still make the playoffs at a consistent level.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, you look at it now, in the Mountain East starting in 2019, everyone besides Shepherd and the Mountain East always like a dogfight against each other. So you're going to see in the MEC, for example, a champion with probably 2 or 3 losses, and then the GMAC with 2 or 3 losses, and the NA10, maybe an LU Post or Assumption with undefeated or a 1-loss season. So in the PSAC, it could have realistically 4 teams in the playoffs every year. That's how it's going to be with Shepherd now joining the PSAC, because Shepherd can actually, they can take a loss or 2, but, nobody in that locker room wants to lose.
Obviously nobody wants to drop games, but I think it's inevitable because, there are bad teams in the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. I'm not saying that they all are fighting for a playoff spot every year. They have their teams that are going to have down years, but I think overall it's going to be a much better dogfight, and you're going to have really good competitive games throughout the entire season, not just, okay, I wonder who's going to be the team, whether it be Notre Dame, whether it be Fairmont State, whether it be Concord. It was usually always one of those 3 teams that was going to be the only team giving Shepherd Charleston a run for their money in the Mountain East. So I think I'm looking forward to the fact that there's going to be competition week in and week out, and it's not going to be games that are done by the middle of the third quarter.
Absolutely. And, everyone's excited, just to say the least. It's going to be a new challenge, and, everyone's going to bring their A game every day now in practice and in film study, to say the least.
I think being around the athletic program like I was, whether it was writing for the newspaper or being involved in the radio or just being in the building, I think I know what the answer to this question is going to be for you. But a lot of what has been talked about moving up north into the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference has been the adjustment in what Shepherd's going to have to make in the facilities. I think the one thing that automatically jumps out at me is the training facilities. Is that what yep. One of the first things that jumps out to you when you think improvement of facilities?
Always. That it needs to get upgraded, honestly, and they've been trying to get it done for years, but lack of funding's been a part of it, and just many more donations, honestly. And that weight room needs to be really upgraded a lot, for sure.
And the funding, again, is one of those things that is going to be a big question now at the state level, because a lot of people didn't want to give Shepherd an increase in funding to begin with because the Panhandle was seen as the rich part of the state. So it'll be definitely interesting now to see what the funding looks like from non-alumni or non-booster members, the funding coming from the state to Shepherd.
Yeah, I'll have a quick story for you, but when 2 years ago in 2017, we went to Pro Day with Billy, Trey, we had a few guys from other schools come to the Pro Day, and when they walked away, they were like, "This is your weight room?" And it was like, "Yeah." Like they were surprised how successful the program was and how the weight room was in shape. And it was like, "Wow, this is kind of surprising for people that don't go to Shepherd or just are outsiders."
Yeah, I know when Miles did his internship at the station in the fall, we had gone over on a Thursday to get interviews with the Martinsburg coaching staff and players, and he walked in to the Martinsburg High School weight room and his jaw about hit the floor, and he went, "This is a high school weight room compared to what we've been lifting in, and we're one of the top D2 programs in the country," and he was just amazed by that. So definitely one of those aspects that have to be looked at when they make that jump to the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. And Chauncey did mention that when I had a chance to talk to him on Monday. So it's something that the athletic department obviously knows and is aware of. All right, Russ, stick around. We got to pay some bills and get in our last break of the show. When we come back, we'll talk about your dreaded O's and really about the bad baseball that's being played in the MLB right now. You're listening to Miller Time on Talk Radio WRNR.
Howdy, cowpokes. Do your business cards look like they're designed by a code roper? Well, this cowboy knows the advantage of dealing with folks the old-fashioned way. When you order printed material on the internet, you're stuck with what you get. But when you need printed material to look just right, you want to deal with folks you know. And that's what you'll find at Panhandle Printing and Design. Local folks that have been delivering results for years. They can help with everything from design to production of stationery envelopes, business cards, invitations, vinyl signs, banners, vehicle wraps, and a lot more. They can answer all your printing questions, and you can call them on the phone or hop on your horse and go see them, because they're your one-stop printing shop where they have something for everyone. Panhandle Printing and Design at 124 North Maple Avenue in Martinsburg. Call 304-267-7400. You can even find them online, too, if you want to. If you need printed materials, don't deal with some city slicker you'll never meet. Trust the folks at Panhandle Printing and Design.
Burke, Schultz, Harmon, and Jenkinson. We're accident, injury, and disability lawyers with over 120 years combined trial experience. When you owe an insurance company money, they want to be paid right away. When an insurance company owes you money, that's a different story, isn't it? At Burke, Schultz, Harmon, and Jenkinson, we devote ourselves to making that story turn out in your favor. We play hardball. Injured in a car wreck? Call for a free consultation. Call us at 304-LAWYERS or 304-263-0900. Radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer deaths in the United States each year. But do you know the radon levels in your home? Home is a place to live, love, and laugh, not a place to breathe air containing radon. The Berkeley and Morgan County Health Departments are distributing free confidential radon test kits, and you can get yours at the Berkeley County Health Department office in Martinsburg and the Morgan County Health Department office in Berkeley Springs. Protect your home and family. Get your free radon test kit today.
Hello, this is Delegate Mike Folk, candidate for West Virginia Senate District 16. I want to extend my personal congratulations to all the Little League All-Stars this summer. As a former three-sport athlete and Shepherd football player, I understand the importance of discipline, hard work, and perseverance, something our All-Stars have in common. As you continue your journey through this summer and your life, remember this quote from Hall of Famer Jerry Rice, who said, "Today I will do what others won't, so tomorrow I can accomplish what others can't." Best of luck and have a great tournament.
L.A. Roberts is Berkeley County's oldest jeweler, where every season is new and exciting. In fact, new is old school to us, and though it's nothing new, our old traditions like exceptional service, quality, and value maintain L.A. Roberts Jewelers as the old master among so many new kids on the block. Whether you're a newcomer or part of the old guard, entrust all your fine jewelry needs to L.A. Roberts, Old World Jewelers for a new age, in historic downtown Martinsburg.
And we welcome you back into Miller Time. A little over 6 minutes left in this show, this Thursday edition of Miller Time. Only one day left for the weekend. Come on, you can do it. It's almost there. All right, we're going to go back to the WVU Medicine Berkeley Medical Center talk line. Bring back in Russell Goodacre. We were talking some NCAA football before we left. Now let's talk some MLB baseball, as I have some stats here to hopefully make Russell feel a little bit better being a Baltimore Orioles fan. I'm not sure how much better it's going to make you feel, Russ, but you're not alone. I just want you to know that.
Fire away.
All right. So the Orioles are the worst team in the majors. There's really no getting out of that and getting away from knowing that. They're the worst team in the majors by far. They're 27 games back in the AL East. Again, hate to keep rubbing salt in an open wound, but it's just what it is right now in Baltimore. But with that being said, the Orioles are joined by 5 other teams in the majors that are making history and could make history come the end of the season. The Kansas City Royals, the Texas Rangers, the Chicago White Sox, and the Marlins and the Cincinnati Reds are 6 teams that are 20% of the major league teams. So 20% of the major league teams, and if the season were to go the rest of the way it's going right now for those 6 teams, they would finish with a under 400 winning percentage. And that would be the first time that has happened since 1970. So while the Orioles are playing bad, and we've emphasized just because regional-wise that they are playing historically bad baseball in Baltimore, it's not just the Orioles. And take out the Rangers in there, So the Rangers could escape this next fun fact. Take out the Rangers, and those other 5 teams could possibly combine to have the most 100-loss teams in MLB history. So you look at the Orioles, the Reds, the White Sox, the Marlins, and the Royals, White Sox, Marlins, and Reds. And those 5 teams could be the first 5 teams in history to have 100 losses in the same season. So, Russ, it's not just the Orioles.
Yeah, and, they're on pace for a 46-116 record season this year. So it would be the worst. Maybe the worst in franchise history.
Could you imagine being an Orioles fan and sitting back and watching 116 losses? Like, I want you to look ahead a couple months and just try to fathom the fact that you could be in the midst of watching a 116 loss team.
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, that's historically bad.
Yeah, the Tigers in 2003 were 43-119. That's the worst since 2000.
Yeah, and they're the only team. I was looking it up yesterday, and that was the last time back until like the 60s that somebody had a winning percentage this bad. The Orioles right now, and none of the other teams are quite on this pace yet. But the Orioles, as I mentioned yesterday and the day before, are on pace. If they keep up what they're doing now and how they started this season, they are on pace to be the 17th worst team in the modern era since 1900.
Yeah, terrible. Chris Davis is on pace for possibly the worst season in the history of baseball, too. He's a minus 2.1 WAR, which is the worst ever. Is a minus 4 by a guy in 1933. Can't remember his name. But, with the Orioles, I'm going to say this right now. I got 3 points. One, it'll be interesting to see how they do with Machado and Jones and Britton at the deadline and see what they can get back or if they do anything.
I was going to say, where does Machado go?
Who knows?
Do you think he's an Oriole at the end of the season?
And hopefully he's not, because the Orioles need something in return for him. If he's still the Orioles past the deadline, people in the warehouse, they failed. It's pretty simple, to be honest with you. And then point number 2, the farm system, no one's ready yet. And 3, thank goodness the Capitals won a Stanley Cup.
I will cheers to that one, but it's just the offensive productivity. If you would have told, and I'm not saying the pitching's good, but if you would have told me that this year the Orioles would be as bad as they were, but their starting pitching would be the high point of their season, I would have called you insane.
Yeah, 70% of their starts have been quality starts. As crazy as it sounds, the bullpen's been terrible. The offense has scored 3 runs or less in 45 of the 70 games, which is mind-boggling in itself.
And Bundy's playing well.
He's doing all right. He has a 3.60 ERA. He had a rough May, but a good April and good June. And
he's scoreless in his last 2 starts.
Yeah, they've been really good.
All right, is Buck Showalter going to be the manager come the end of the season? I am on the you need to get rid of Buck and send a message before the end of the season, but does he deserve to finish out the entire season as the manager of the Orioles?
Well, his contract's up at the end of this year, as well as Dane Duquette's the GM. I think finish out the year, but don't bring him back, and don't bring Duquette either.
Yeah, I don't know why you would even waste keeping him around the rest of the season. Other than respect for what he has done for this organization.
They have to go through a whole, just clean a house. And the crazy thing about Buck is if the Orioles do keep going on their pace that they're at right now, he will end his term with the Orioles with a losing record. Think how wild that is.
That is nuts. Russ, we appreciate you coming on and being my co-host today. Look forward to talking to you soon, buddy.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, that is going to do it for today's Miller Time. Tune in tomorrow for the Friday edition from 5 to 6. You're listening to Talk Radio WRNR Martinsburg.
Local news from Talk Radio WRNR. Appeal denied. And that's the end of the case for a man who killed a Hedgesville woman with whom he'd once lived. James Love, who is from North Carolina, was found guilty 4 years ago of murdering Tracy McCauley.